Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. Today, absolutely glorious day in fact, and I'm just stood on the very woodland edge. So our camp is just sort of through there a little bit, and I'm stood next to hawthorn. So hawthorn is a very common hedgerow shrub, so certainly around where we are, so in the southeast of England in Kent, lots and lots of their hedgerows or the hedges themselves are made predominantly from hawthorn, and it's largely about stock control. So it has got thorns on it, as the name would suggest, and if the hedge is laid correctly, it's really good at stopping the livestock from getting through. It will grow as a standalone tree, and in fact a few years ago I was at a different woodland not too far from here, and I kind of saw lots of holes on the ground, and I wasn't initially too sure where they were from, and so I had a little look about and realised that I was actually stood next to or close to a very tall hawthorn in fact, and you probably had to look up maybe 8, 9, possibly 10 metres before you could actually start seeing any leaves. So they will grow as a standalone tree. I quite like them for carving, so it gives an orangey kind of sheen to whatever you're making it. It's a little reminiscent of beech in fact, but probably a bit easier to carve. At this time of year, you'd say these are in flower now, and some years they can put cherry or give cherry blossom a run for its money. They can be absolutely prolific. This year I would say is a fairly typical year. Last year was just unbelievable. The hedgerows were completely white with all of these beautiful flowers. At this time of year, the leaves are edible, the flower is edible. The leaf, to be fair, is just a bit leafy. The flower, however, is really quite tasty indeed. So I get a very distinct sort of almond flavour from them. So I recommend them. They are very tasty indeed. So if you look, it's going to kind of go back in time. Country kids used to call this stuff bread and cheese. So they would just walk along the lane, pick the leaves, pick the flowers, and just eat them. Not so much because of the taste, in fact it doesn't taste anything like bread and cheese, but because it was a sort of a staple food for people. Once the flowers have gone on this again, then the leaves become sort of bitter, more chewy, and they're not worth trying to eat at all. So where I grew up in the West Country, we used to have a saying that went along the lines of "cast not a clout until May is out." So if you're not familiar with the term clout, it's kind of an old-fashioned word, and it means an item of clothing. So what we're saying is keep all your clothes on, keep all your layers on until May is out. And when I was a child, I used to think that it referred to the month of May. So keep your winter stuff about you until May, the month of May, has ended. That's incorrect. That's not what it means at all. So the hawthorn, certainly where I grew up, and in other parts of the country, it's also known as the May tree. So the saying is, don't sort of start stripping off your winter clothes until the May tree is in flower, until the hawthorn is in flower. That's telling us that winter is truly past. You know, it works most years, though there are, I can definitely remember occasions where we've had a cold snap again, but it is a pretty good indicator. So I'm going to pick some of these leaves and flowers now. I'm just going to collection vessel here. So if you've watched our video around hints and tips for foraging, if you haven't, take a look. If you have watched it already, I talk about what to collect things in. And so predominantly if I'm foraging, I'm going to try to collect my material in maybe a wicker basket or a hessian bag or a cotton bag, that kind of thing, natural fabrics. Here I've got a jar, but it's I've got a specific purpose for this, which I will talk about in a minute. But for now, I'm just going to kind of get picking on this, and I'm going to go for more or less sort of equal numbers of flower and leaf. I've pretty much filled my jar up now. As I've been going, I've just been kind of poking it down in there just to compress it down. So I'm now going to go back into our main camp and continue with this. So I'm going to make a tincture with the hawthorn leaves and flowers that I've popped into the jar. So a tincture is it's an alcohol based herbal remedy, and generally what we do is go get a 40% alcohol, so typically just a bottle of vodka and use that, and the alcohol then will sort of infuse with the hawthorn. It has been shown in clinical studies to strengthen your heart muscles. And it's not kind of, you're not going to get shot glasses out and just kind of knock them back. It's just a case of taking a teaspoon in the mornings. So all I need to do now is get some of the vodka and pour it in. Right, so I just want to, I'm just going to poke that down a little bit. I want to make sure that I don't have any of the sort of leaves or flowers floating above the surface. If you get any sort of vegetation that does sort of come through the surface of the liquid, then it can go off, and then that can spoil the whole batch. So that's all looking good. I just need to put the lid on nice and tight, and this is going to go home with me now, and I'm going to put it in a dark cupboard, leave it there for probably a month or so, maybe a little longer, and then I'll strain it through a jelly bag just to get rid of the plant material in there, and then bottle up the liquid that we get from it. This will change colour, so whilst it's clear at the moment, but give that a month's time and it's going to be a sort of a dark brown coloured liquid. And as I say, it's a tablespoon a day for strengthening heart muscles. So thank you for watching our video, guys. If you haven't subscribed already to our YouTube channel, then please do, and we'll get some more content to you as soon as we're able. Stay safe.